We've talked about a lot of Appalachian food on this channel. We've talked about pepperoni rolls, West Virginia hot dogs, but if there's one food that's really near and dear to my heart as growing up in West Virginia, it is soup beans. Soup beans were made out of that time when we didn't have a lot and we really needed to pull all the flavor out of something to stretch it. So we had a pot full of beans that was really full of this ham flavor. Basically, you're using these cheap beans, something that you had in your cellar, something that you had stored somewhere, and then you're putting all this flavor into it by cooking it down with a ham hock. Now, these days, things aren't quite as rough as they used to be, and I like to call my soup beans churched up soup beans. The reason I call them that is they're a little fancier, they're a little nicer. We're using a lot more ham. We're gonna do some special garnishes on it. So it's gonna be a nicer, fancier soup bean. But soup beans they're simple. They're like the ultimate comfort food for us here in West Virginia. Soup beans are not bean soup. These are two very different things, and they can have the same ingredients, but the end product is going to be different. You very much may see a bean soup with chunks of ham in it that's gonna look very similar to starting out our soup beans, but it's gonna be brothy, it's gonna be in a bowl, you're gonna eat it with a spoon. Soup beans are thick. They can go on your plate, you can eat them with a fork. Think more like a really good baked bean. I've been making these beans for so long and I've been eating these my whole life, so I don't have a written recipe for them. The recipe to soup beans is something that's written on my very soul. But I'm gonna walk you through it today. We're gonna make the soup beans today in a 6-quart Dutch oven, and we're gonna base our ingredients off of the size of that. So here's what you'll need. 3 yellow onions, about a pound of bacon, somewhere around 3 pounds of ham. Then we're going to use about 7 pounds of canned, I like white beans. You can truly use any bean. We also are going to need a ham hock. And something to deglaze, I like white wine. Traditionally, soup beans are garnished with a minced raw yellow onion and served with a side of cornbread. But today, because we're doing churched up soup beans, I'm going to break up the cornbread over top of it, and then we're gonna do a sweet and spicy pickled red onion to garnish with it. And I'm also going to throw some of those bacon bits over top at the end. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna take 3 yellow onions, mince those up, then take our thick cut bacon and cut that into little bits as well. We also want to cube up our ham now. So now that we have our onions, bacon, and ham all prepped and ready to go, we're gonna start the Dutch oven on a high heat. First, we're going to render these bacon bits down until they're nice and crunchy and take all that fat out. We're going to remove the bacon bits, add in the onion and the ham, and cook that down. It's important when you're making soups to render your ham first. You want to remove all that extra water from the onions, but especially from the ham, before you move on to your next step. That's going to get you a lot more flavor. Once the ham has rendered down, you can see that it's changed consistency and it's obviously more dry. You'll feel with your wooden spoon fond developing on the bottom of your pan. Once you get there, you can go ahead and deglaze. As I said, I like to use white wine. You can also use stock or really any liquid. But what that's going to do is break the fond up off the bottom of the pan, and that is full of a lot of rich, rich flavor. Once we deglaze, we can add our beans in. And personally, I like to keep all the liquid that's in the canned beans in the soup as well, because I feel like that fits with the subsistence model that's kind of behind soup beans from the beginning. So now we get all that in there, get it warmed up, and now we add in the ham hock. Once everything is in the Dutch oven, it's just a matter of getting it to simmer and let everything cook and incorporate for at least a couple hours. It's been about an hour and a half, and you can see how everything's really starting to come together. So now I want to give it a taste and see what seasonings it needs. I don't want to add seasoning too early in the process because we really want to pull a lot of the flavors out of the ham and the onion, the bacon, the ham hock. So now's the time to find out. And these white beans are so creamy, and as it cooks down, it gets so thick. I love soup beans so much. So I do think it needs a little more salt, and I really like granulated garlic and black pepper in there, so I'm going to add a little bit of that as well. And then really, this could be done, but I'd like it to cook down a little bit more and get a little bit thicker. When you are ready to pull it off and you're ready to serve it, give it a taste, and if it's not really bright, adjust your salinity or your acid. You can throw a little bit of lemon juice into this, and it's going to really brighten it up for you. Now you know how to make this recipe that means so much to me. My grandma has made this for me, my mom has made this for me, now I get to make it for the people that I care about. I hope you make it for the people that you care about. And if you care about content like this, don't be afraid to smash that subscribe button.